I accidentally arrested an undercover FBI agent during my first week as a small-town cop during my first week as a rookie officer in a small Vermont town. I was desperate to prove myself. After years at the police academy and being the only female hire in my department, I felt every pair of eyes watching, waiting for me to fail. The call came in on Thursday night. Saddest suspicious activity at the Lakeside Motel, a notorious spot for drug deals. My training officer was out sick, so the sergeant reluctantly sent me to do a routine drive-by, just observe and report back. He emphasized, do not engage alone. When I arrived, I noticed a man in a black FRE with out-of-state plates watching room 118. He'd been there for hours, according to the motel owner who called it in collaptic surveillance setup. The man had no visible ID, wore dark clothing, and kept taking photos with a telephoto lens. I called for backup, but dispatch informed me everyone was tied up with a multi-car accident on the highway. It would be at least 30 minutes before anyone could join me. That's when the man got out of his vehicle and approached room 118 with his hand inside his jacket. My academy training kicked in, minus potential armed suspect approaching a known drug location. I drew my weapon and identified myself. Police, stop and show me your hands. He froze, then slowly turned. Instead of complying, he reached for something in his back waistband. In that split second, I made my decision. I tackled him to the ground, cuffed him, and called it in. The suspect kept saying I was making a huge mistake, but they all say that when I searched him, I found a concealed weapon and what looked like surveillance equipment. My heart raced, minus I just made my first major arrest without backup. I was already composing my report in my head at the station. The sergeant took one look at my suspect and his face went white. He immediately took me into his office. Officer Davis, you just arrested Special Agent Thomas from the FBI's Burlington Field office. Apparently, our small-town police department hadn't been informed about a federal investigation targeting a drug trafficking ring operating through the motel. When the sergeant brought me back out to apologize and remove the handcuffs, I expected rage. Instead, Thomas was laughing. Best takedown I've experienced in 15 years, he said, rubbing his wrists. Most rookies hesitate. You didn't, though. Next time, maybe wait for the badge before the tackle. He explained that he'd been reaching for his FBI credentials, not a weapon. The sergeant was mortified, already imagining the interdepartmental nightmare this would cause. But the next morning, Joaquin Thomas returned with coffee for everyone and asked specifically to speak with me. We're conducting a raid tomorrow night, and we're short-staffed, he said. Your sergeant says you are technically still in training, but after yesterday's demonstration, I'd like you on the team. 6 months later, that raid led to the largest drug bust in our county's history. Bricktine Thomas and I still laugh about our first meeting whenever our departments collaborate. My sergeant framed the interdepartmental memo that came after the incident. It now hangs in our briefing room in recognition of Officer Sarah Davis, whose commitment to procedure nearly derailed a 3-month federal investigation, but whose instincts and execution were regrettably textbook perfect. Sometimes the biggest mistakes lead to the best opportunities, and sometimes tackling an FBI agent is the fastest way to earn respect in a small-town police department.